Welcome to the first ever episode of Let's Talk. This is the place on my channel where I'm going to talk to interesting guests. And interesting guests, people who know their way around fusion and prog. They can be musicians or they can be just knowledgeable. They can be publishers. They can be anything that is interesting to me and to hopefully to you. And today I am honored and fortunate to have a very interesting guest for you. This is a person who has a background as a band leader in progressive rock, as a composer and a singer, and he creates lists. He is a dedicated list maker, and he digests enormous amount of information, and he has advanced criteria for making his lists. And when he does them within music, it's amazing. And he has come to my channel and made a list for us. And it's a very interesting list. And this person also happens to be my brother. So today's guest is Anton Steensland. Hi there, Anton. How's it going? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm fine.
You have a background, as you talked about, as a progressive rock band leader for many years. You're a composer and you're a singer. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I don't know. It started in the beginning. I just played in a band, and the band played music. It wasn't important what to play. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe this is a song. But then when I start to listen, I heard other bands that played some kind of progressive music, and I thought maybe I can do the same. The problem was that I couldn't play so well, so I didn't practice because it was boring. Instead, I learned to write songs and ended up with great musicians who didn't want to be the leader or take responsibility. They just wanted to play. So they say, you do everything and we play what you say.
So you provided the context for them to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the complex and difficult stuff they played, and I just put a chord over it to fill the sound out. So I'm a pretty lousy musician, but I'm not a lousy composer.
Yeah,
so to say.
Absolutely. So when did you come across progressive music, and what bands and artists opened that scene to you?
Open the scene, I think it was, I know it was Genesis Seconds Out, and I guess
never heard of that.
No, it's no one ever heard it before. About 78, 79, I think I heard it the first time and said, wow. But I didn't know that I already listened to progressive rock, because I listened a lot to Rush and to Jethro Tull and to Frank Zappa, but I never heard about progressive rock before, and in Sweden we call it synth rock, symphonic rock, and Genesis filled me up, and after that it was quite easy to find acts like Jess and King Crimson and Magma and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and so it felt natural to walk that way.
Yeah, I see. And you touched upon this in the intro. You said you were about your lists. You have a history of compiling complex, advanced lists by certain criteria. It can be a list of birds, it can be a list of songs or movies, and that means digesting a lot of information. And when it comes to music, you must have listened to hours and hours and hours of music. So tell us about that.
Especially I listen to hours and hours and hours and hours of music that I don't like. When I do some kind of best of the year list, I have to check it out. I have to listen to everything I can find. I can't assume that even though I don't like country music, I'm not sure if I hate 100% of the songs. So I have to go through it, and then I can say, yes, I hate 100% of the songs. Almost.
I get it. So, but when it comes to progressive rock, and what we called earlier symfrock in Swedish, I don't know if you still do that, but anyway, what gets you going? What lights your fire? What is it that you're listening for to say, oh, I like this?
I want to be challenged in the music, and for me, progressive rock is being outside the box. Nowadays, prog rock, the word prog, it's just a word. The progressive stuff died in the late 70s, I think. And the prog rock died, almost died, until Marillion entered the scene in the middle of the 80s. And I love what they did, and I am skeptic to what they did, because they blew new life in this wonderful genre.
Yes, they did.
But still, progressive? No, not progressive at all. They wanted to sound like it sounded before. And they opened the door to the retro prog. And everything that Genesis, King Crimson, Gentle Giant, and so on did the first 2-3 years of the 70s. No acts do things like that anymore. Now every act is trying to sound like the right sound, how it was before, and the box. Now you got to be inside the box. Well, you got to play 7/8. You got to have a mellotone, and not you must have the right mellotone and the double-necked guitar and the Rickenbacker and everything. And I think that's
what is progressive?
Sad.
What is progressive in that?
Nothing. So it's just a word.
It's the label.
Yeah, it's a label.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's very interesting. Very well put. I like that.
And I will continue just a little bit.
Yeah, go on.
It's the challenging part. It don't have to be complicated. It doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes long. But I want something to chew on. Something to wow. It's just a chord change. Just something more than the hit list songs, something more than the standard 3-chord rock, something else. And that's the thing that I want. And most important, that I think also died a bit, is the soul, the spirit, the expression. When Genesis and so on released their early 70s album, they had something to say. And you can hear that they had something to say. I don't really know what they wanted to say, but I know they are saying something. Today, when you listen to some of the prog acts, it sounds like an AI computer. And you have put in, you gotta have this, and a part of this, and a part of that, and out, in the box, and out comes something without soul, without spirit. And I think that today, even we are working so much with our music in our studios before we're searching for some kind of perfection. And perfection sucks big time, because I want it to be as good as it can get. Perfect and good isn't the same thing.
No.
Perfect is killing the roots, killing the thought, killing the love. Now I can play it even more perfect. Oh, I don't give a F. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear you sound that you want to say something. And I think in prog rock today, now, no, not all progressive rock, but I think that this is a trend that we are working so much. I can do this a little better. I can do that a little better. And nothing gets better.
We have computers that can do it better.
We have computers.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I agree to a great extent. Just because we can make it more perfect doesn't mean that increase the production value, the art of it, the expression of something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get you.
Just compare a famous painting like Mona Lisa and think about Photoshop.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Music is art to me. Music is art.
Music is absolutely art. Yeah. At least to people like us, music is art. If you go and look at watch the hit list, maybe it's not as much about art as it is a business or something else, but it's a bit art in there, but it's hard to quantify how much.
And I think that the hit list music have its function. Definitely.
Absolutely.
It doesn't interest me, but I still think it has a function. And I think that the best producers or composers in the hit list genres are geniuses.
Absolutely.
I could never, ever do things like that. I thought in the teens that, okay, if I just want to be a millionaire, I do lousy music and then I will become a millionaire. And no, it's not so easy at all.
No, these guys are professionals and they know what they're doing. It requires a lot of knowledge and skills to do what they're doing. Absolutely. We shouldn't diminish their work in any way. It's just that it's not for us.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. A lot of interesting stuff there. Thank you so much. So we have a list today, or you have a list for us on the channel. And tell us about this list.
Yeah, I didn't know really what you say. You told me do a list, and that's like telling a little 5-year-old kid do something. It became in the head, and it was chaos, and and then I thought, okay, I do a list of the 5 the 5 most underrated and overseen albums in progressive rock, and the 5 albums became 6 because I got a bonus album. And for the first thing there is, what is progressive rock? For some people that is very important. How about Frank Zappa? How about Jethro Tull? How about Pink Floyd? No, yes. But okay, I will go for the wider, what do you call it? Wider
scope. A wider scope.
Wider scope. Yeah. And same thing. What is overlooked and underrated? That's albums that I think deserves much more cred or much more listeners in this small genre. So that's how I tried to come up with this list.
It's a really interesting list, and let's be honest. When I listened to it, I thought that underrated and overlooked. It's not like we're talking about an artist like Kevin Gilbert here, which goes under many people's radar. These are more obscure, even less known acts, right?
Yeah, most of them, not all, but most of them.
Most of them are less known. Yes.
Yeah.
So we hope that this is gonna like be interesting for many prog fans, and they can discover new stuff. Oh, I haven't heard about this.
I hope so. Yeah, as an honorable mention, I will like to say Seventh Wave, the album Sci-Fi. I think they pronounce it Sci-Fi, from '75, and this is not. This is a very important album to me because I discovered them. I discovered them by myself. No one ever told me about them. Long story short, a friend of mine bought an album with various artists. It was Judas Priest and Arthur Brown and stuff like that. And on this album, there was a song with an act called Seventh Wave. And he thought it was really bad, but he liked the intros. This was in the mixtapes area, so he recorded the intro, suggestive, dark, ambient space drama thing. And when the song started, he just faded out, and I thought, wait, I think that was good. And then I recorded the song and thought, there's something about this song that I like. I can't put my finger on it, but I know that there's something about this song that I like. And my friends they used to tease me because they thought that the song was worthless. And I said to myself, I gotta find this album. But I couldn't find that album because I'm not sure. I think it is because it wasn't an album. It slipped under the radar, and maybe perhaps it was lanserat.
Published,
the wrong målgrupp.
target audience.
Yeah, the wrong target audience. So it just disappeared, and I couldn't find it in any books. This was before internet, and one day I found it, and I was so very happy. It took years and years and years, and when I listened to the album and played it for my friends, I got my revenge. I won. It was wonderful. The album is not very great, no, but the song Manifestations is the song that I discovered them, and I thought it was a part of the song that used this classical Genesis Land Lies Down on Broadway rhythm, ba-da, ba-da, bam, ba-da, ba-da. And I think that it was that made me going. But if you're gonna listen to this album, the greatest song is The Star Palace of a Somber Warrior. It's bombastic and big and quite much, and I like it when it is much. So I recommend everyone to listen to it. I'm not sure that you're gonna love it, but it's definitely worth listening to.
I see what you say. I listened to it, and the first song was a little bit poppy, and then I got the Beatles vibe and a bit of Pink Floyd vibe, and I think the singer, the Elliot guy, sounds a little bit like Roger Waters in his higher register.
Yeah. I think that he listened a bit to David Bowie too. He's very theatralic. Yeah, coming in as number 5, you got Peter Hamill, A Black Box. Wait, Peter Hamill? No, you can't say Peter Hamill, underrated, overlooked. Well, I do, because Peter Hamill, founder and leader in Phonograph Generator, a big name, a big man. He made a lot of solo albums from the 70s. Today, still making albums, but his name disappeared a bit, and when you come to the 80s, it's not okay anymore for some people. But A Black Box is, I think it's not only underrated and overlooked, it is a unique album in the prog genre, because Hamill does it backwards. He doesn't do the thing that all the other bands did. They went bigger, they went more complex, and greater musicians. And Hamill puts up some kind of middle finger here and playing all by himself. And that's, you got Mike Oldfield and a lot of great musicians playing all by themselves. But Peter Hammill isn't a great musician, like instrumentalist. He's a great composer, singer and stuff. He can play the guitar, just like every man can play the guitar, and he can play the piano as every man can play the piano. Here he also plays the bass. Can he play the bass? Yeah, he can play the bass as a guitar player can play the bass. He knows where to find the notes and stuff, but he hasn't no groove or stuff like that. Can he play the drums? No, he can't play the drums. And it doesn't matter, because he's doing it so right. I don't believe that the album will get any better if you have a session drummer in there. Because it's so honest and it's so pure, and the soul I was talking about, the spirit, he makes everything sounds professional in all ways, even though that he can't play drums, and I think it's a very brave thing to do. It's absolutely about the bravest album I ever heard. And the first side is shorter songs, more like rock stuff. The B side, the other side of the album is 19 minutes, I think, 90 minutes long, sweet, sounds a lot like Phonograph Generator. The music is tremendous, and the how he plays is tremendous. It's so personal. I don't know how. I got a lack of words here.
Yeah.
I recommend. Yeah.
I like the description, personal. It's unique. It's very personal. Nobody else could have made that album.
No.
And if you listen to the first song, it's a really great song. It sounds a little bit Gabriel-ish.
Yeah.
But it sounds unique. It sounds honest. It sounds personal. Yeah. And it's not tight by any standards. But as you point out, it doesn't really matter, because the artistic expression is pure.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah. So 3 songs I recommend. The opening, Golden Promises, the very dark in slow time, and the long the flight, that's more in the progressive box. So please listen to it.
Cool.
Coming in as number 4, Art Zoid, Le Mariage, and my French can't do the rest, but it's Le Mariage, the wedding, or the marriage between heaven and hell, I think the title is.
Yes, that's
from
right.
1985. And Art Zoid, I don't really get how so few prog fans like it or listen to it. I can get why not everybody does, because it's very narrow. It's some kind of art music. It is ambient without being ambient. You can't sleep to it, I promise. It's like, for those who know Univers Zero, this kind of same stuff, but without the complexity, without the melodies. It's just evil, and it's just pumping, pulsing, and it's a ballet. This album is ballet music, for real. So please, just try to open your mind and try to listen to and do the whole album, because one song, no, it doesn't work that way with Art Zoid. And I guess that 80% of you will hate it, but I hope that 20% of you will love it. And in that case, welcome to the hell world of Art Zoid.
There's a lot of good stuff in there. The first song is like 11 minutes, and the next song is like 12 minutes. And there we go. And you have vocals without any lyrics. They just sing which is cool. It's like you said, dark and ominous.
Yeah.
And when I listened to it, I got a vibe like the contemporary band Snarky Puppy, which is more like a fusion musician's choice band. They play really complex stuff, but some of their stuff sounds very much like this album. Some of their stuff with the really dense harmonies and voicings they do.
Yeah, the dance harmonies, absolutely. But if you like Snarky Puppy and think, well, I'll try Art Soy too, you're going to be
then you're going to go wrong. Yeah, it's going to be a bit surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Cool.
Coming in as number 3, we got a very, very interesting album called Go Live in Paris, or maybe Go Live from Paris. I'm not sure. Go is a band, or it's not a band, it is Stormy Yamashita, the Japanese keyboard player and percussion player, a project he made. They made an album called Go, and then they made a double album, Go Live, with the same songs. And the most interesting thing about this album is the lineup, because it's Stormy Yamashita, of course, and then Stevie Winwood, known from Traffic or as a solo artist, as singer. You got a bass player called Jerome Rimson, a session musician, played a lot of funk and jazz and blues. And you got Michael Shreve, the drummer who played with Santana. And so far it's quite crazy. And then you got Pat Thrall, or Thrall, I'm not sure how to pronounce. Session musician too, and he played with all the bands. A real mean guitar player. I really love him. So aggressive. A bit like the rock version of Mike Stern. He's nasty in a positive way. And Al Di Meola, the fastest guitar player in the world at that date. And the last man in this lineup is Klaus Schulze, the ambient master from Germany. And to put Al Di Meola and Klaus Schulze in the same band is like, I don't know. They're so far away from each other, so I can't get it. And the music is very interesting because it's genreless. I can't put it anywhere. It's music. A little bit punk there, a little bit prog there, and a little bit hard rock there, a little bit bass stuff, and they just mix it together, and it's prog rock, definitely prog rock, and it's so interesting without being extreme in any way.
Cool. It's like the Schulze and the Meola thing is like one is fast and the other one wants to go slower.
Very much
so they
slower.
Pull in opposite direction almost.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, coming in as number 2 is Patrick Moraz. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's from Switzerland, and I don't know if he got the English pronouncing or the German pronouncing or the Italian pronouncing or the Canto. I'm not sure. I will call him Patrick Moraz. And Patrick, if you listen to this, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but I'm going to rise your album up to heaven, so maybe I'm excused. This is a masterpiece. This is a wonderful album. And I will just step back a bit. And in 1974, Yes made Relayer. On that album, Patrick Moraz played, not Rick Wakeman, Patrick Moraz played. And after that, Yes took a break. And all the members did one solo album each. Chris Squire did Fish Out of Water, great album. Jon Anderson did Elias of Sunhillow, okay album, and the other ones we don't have to talk about so much. But Patrick Moraz did The Story of I. It's a concept album, and it's absolutely crazy. It's like the most energetic parts from The Gates of Delirium, and it is some samba, and it is some ballads, and some fusion, and some space stuff, and the energy is extreme. It's such a tempo in this album. It happen things all the time, and it's well composed and well played, well produced. I think it's a masterpiece, and I think that Patrick Moraz deserves a lot more respect. He's just not a guy who played when Rick Wakeman had a break from Yes. He's marvelous.
Cool.
Coming in as number one, this is a band that I can't understand. Why doesn't every prog nerd mention this band with big fat letters? That's Happy the Man. Happy the Man entered the scene in the late 70s, and maybe that's one reason, because the dyeing procedure was on its way, but Happy the Man, they did something very interesting. They did new music. They didn't sound like the big elephants, like Genesis, King Crimson, Gentle Giant, Gong, or just mention them. Perhaps maybe a little bit like Camel, but that's a very little bit. And they played, most of the stuff is instrumental, and they are really great musicians. I will hold them as the best band in the 70s when you talk about the musicians in the prog scene. A lot better than Genesis, Jess, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And they do quite complex music, but it's not hard to listen to. It's not you don't have to you won't get tired by listening to it. It's kind of nice. Their second album, Crafty Hands, it's absolutely wonderful. I know that you can find it on YouTube, not on Spotify, but when you find it on YouTube, you're going to listen to the opening song, Service with a Smile, because that's one of the best record opener I ever heard. And then you must listen to the fourth song, I think, Steaming Pipes. And if you don't like Steaming Pipes, perhaps you can listen to Ace of Base instead. I'm not sure. I love Happy the Man. I love Crafty Hands, and I want them to get the biggest cred. Thank you.
Yeah, I happen to agree with you a lot. Happy the Man. This album, Crafty Hands, just a wonderful album, and it's like they have found a formula for it. And it's as you pointed out, it's different. It's not Genesis. It's not Yes. It's they found their own formula for making a beautiful prog album, and it's like they found this thing of arpeggiate broken. They have a lot of broken chords that they play over odd time signatures, but it's not, as you pointed out, very challenging to listen to. It's very easy going, but it's beautiful, and it's I love this album. It's wonderful.
Yeah, don't try it at home.
Exactly. All right, Anton, thank you so much for coming to the channel and bringing your knowledge and your very interesting list. Thank you so much. Do you have some closing words for us?
Yeah, about me. You're going to take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I like the big words. I think it's much more fun to speak that way, much more fun to listen to. I'm not an elitistic asshole, sorry. I just like to talk this way. Take it with a grain of salt. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Your support means a lot to me. So if you like my content, please hit that like and subscribe button and ring that notification bell. It means a lot. Thank you so much.